All right, what's up, people? Like most people, if you watch the debate in real time, you were probably unfulfilled. I was too, in a sense. Now, although I did point out little things as it was happening, I just felt like it wasn't enough to make the average person go, wait, there's some strong points being made here. So as I reflected on it, since the day of, uh, and even just a second ago when I actually went back just to look at some of the comments to see what people were saying, I realized what was going on. I realized what was going on and I hardly know where to start. All right. So forgive me if I'm all over the place. So when I was watching it in real time, because I only watched it once and that was in real time, I quickly noticed that this was a 2-on-1 match. This was 2-on-1. And I was just thinking this isn't good for Trump. This isn't. And then I started thinking about what a lot of people were saying. They're like toddlers going back and forth, which reminds me of my theory of how Donald Trump took a page out of Thick Face Black Heart. You got to be willing to humiliate yourself for something greater. And what I realized was that he was doing all this interrupting not because he was angry. Now he may have played, he may have been a little frustrated. He may have played like he was angry, but there was a reason for this. Okay? What's one thing that he wanted that he didn't get prior to this debate? He wanted Biden to be checked for wires. He wanted him to get a drug test as well, but he wanted Biden to be checked for wires. Biden said no. Then you start seeing the screenshots of what's going on under his sleeve. Is it a wire? Is it not? Then you see a picture of his ear. It's not as uh it's not as deep. It's shallowed out, almost as if it's like a skin colored earpiece in his ear. Like he was being fed the answers. And for all intents and purposes, Biden could have been fed the questions when we talk about a 2 versus 1 match. So how do you get a person off his center? How do you get a person off of what he had practiced? Force him to improv. How do you do that? Just keep throwing things at him. Just keep throwing it at him. Just flood him with it. Say things that have nothing to do with the question entirely. Say things that have nothing to do with the question. Throw him off. See how quick on his feet he can be. See how quick he can move. Throw him off completely. Force him to leave the script alone. All right. It's like a great sports team who can force their competitors to do something else. You practice all week, you practice all this time, you game plan for this one specific thing. Then when it gets to the game, the defense shows you something completely different and they force you to play outside of your game. All right. Now you forcing them to say, "Well, you shut up." Now you forcing them to name because you're the worst president ever. That was the game all along. This is chess. This is chess. And you gotta imagine a chess player like Donald Trump expected this. All right. Know your enemies. He knew his enemies a long time ago. A long time ago. All right. I can show you a video from 2016 before he was the president, and it was at a dinner, and he pretty much laid out all of his enemies right there. He exposed Clinton right there in front of some of the most powerful people in the world. You know, to this day, it still holds very true, very relevant. So that's what I noticed. And another thing that I noticed is that when I went through the comments on Fox News, the critics did agree. I mean, it was overwhelming. And so another thing that I did notice as I was as I was watching it in real time when I did, is that Biden had literally no answers. He had no answers. His only answers was speaking out against what Trump has done. That was it. No plan. And he was forced to say, that's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie. It's because he was flustered. And in saying these things were, they were lies. He told lies. It was off the script. He prepared to take questions and answers from the moderator. Trump had other plans. Extremely genius. And then when you couple that with the fact that Trump actually did lay out facts, he laid out a bunch of tangible things, then it doesn't look good for the opponent. All right. So initially, when you're in the midst of it, you're likely going to miss certain things. Kind of reminds me of like a Mayweather fight. You know what I'm saying? A quintessential Mayweather fight. When it's happening, you're like, man, he beat Mayweather's ass. He was throwing dinner. But then when it gets to the end of the fight, you see the numbers, you see the percentage, and you say, well, that's how boxing is won. So although I was kind of worried about the popular vote, which doesn't really matter, what we have is the people who really know politics, who really know what's going on. When we talk about the electoral votes, they're going to, who do you think they're going to side with? They're going to side with the person that's just been, he didn't do this and he didn't do that, and who's just completely lying, not even, not even to the level of a politician, but just completely lying, but not laying out any plans, flustered, can't answer a single question even that the moderator is giving. Or you're going to go for the person that's been laying out fact after fact after fact, no matter the delivery. Had more precision. And also, he put out a couple of things that did make people think. All of this talk of Russian collusion. What about your son? He brought that up. He got Joe Biden so flustered that he started talking about his other son. Nobody wasn't talking about his son. All right. Trump was speaking all facts. Um, Trump never called the people in the military losers. He flipped that right on his head and said, you called the people in the military stupid bastards. There's a video of that happening. It went viral. I've seen it a couple of times. I saw it yesterday. So this doesn't look good for the opponent. Every time I see masterful work like this, it really does make me want to pull out my chessboard because it's perfect. To prepare for a worst case scenario, to prepare to be bombarded and still come out on top, it is beautiful. It really is. I've never seen anything like it in my life. How you can go through a jungle, a handicap, still make it through by completely telling the truth and sticking to your game plan. Sometimes the best game plan is to mess up somebody else's, man. That's what you call a solid defense. And it's just amazing. Like there's a lot of messages that can be extracted from what I just said alone. Preparation. Expect the worst. Throw them off of their game plan if you suspect one. In fact, you should always suspect one. You know what I'm saying? Play a crook to catch a crook. Play a fool to catch a fool. Expose them. Let them expose themselves. It's really that easy. It's the documentation. It's recorded. There's no hearsay. It's recorded. Everybody saw it too. If you ever want to go back, you go look at it. Read the comments. It is apparent that the people have picked up on this thing. 2 versus 1. Oh, wait, Joe Biden told a lie about this. Wait a minute. The conversation was all this Russian collusion, but what about your son? Why is your son collecting this money? It doesn't look good for the other side. So, admittedly, I was worried at first, and now I'm not. This makes me want to spend a lot more time in front of the chessboard. I should have saw this. If ever you step into a situation where there's a high chance of calamity, a high chance of tense emotions and a confrontation, prepare. Think of 15 to 50, maybe even more different outcomes. Again, I told you a man who is so poised, he can stand in a room full of people who absolutely hate him and still be himself. Love him or hate him. That's just one of the most badass things you could ever do. And by the way, I'm not talking about the debate when I said stand in a room of 1,000 people. I'm talking about that dinner I mentioned earlier when he was running for president. This was in 2016. You know, everybody thought he was a joke. It started off with jokes. Everybody was laughing. Hillary Clinton was laughing. She was there. As it got towards the end, she was mad. He let her have it. He didn't give a fuck. And when he was finished, he walked right past her ass. So close that his pants probably touched her shirt. She was sitting down. Masterful. This is the Don, man. You know, a lot of people, they clown me, they mock me, they call me a coon. Not too long ago, maybe even sometime in the beginning of this year, I was not a fan of Donald Trump. I really wasn't. All right. And I do not idol worship at all. I just don't. I used to, but then I grew up and I found that my fucking idols were trash all across the board, pretty much. They were trash. But I have to say, I do have a great deal of admiration for his tactics. Man, he's on a whole nother level. And he's so good at making it look like he doesn't know what he's doing. He's so good at making himself look clumsy. He's so good at making himself look stupid. He's so good at making himself look like a bigot. All the while still implementing his tactics, making progressions in his own personal life and the world around him. I mean, I couldn't stress it enough how masterful it is. I want you guys to read the book, Thick Face, Black Heart. You must read this book and you will see exactly what's going on. And why not read The Art of War while you are at it? A lot of people may think I'm crazy, but it's because I'm well informed. And you're always going to look crazy to people who are just uninformed. That's just how it goes, man. Jeez. I'm about to pull out the goddamn chessboard, man. Masterful. And you can apply this to your own life, man. Fuck the haters. Fuck the competition. Fuck the naysayers. Fuck the people critiquing you. Always focus on your game. Be the best version of yourself. And let everybody else just be onlookers, man. Just amazing, man. I swear to God. All right, peace. Shit.